Hello, everyone. I wonder if everyone else gets as excited as I do as I watch the countdown. I think I'm a lot less nervous until the 3 minutes start, and then I start getting all antsy. Hello, welcome everyone to Bulls Deep. I am Shanda Danielle. Tonight I will be solo hosting this show. I guess Chase had better things to do or was busy crying over the loss of the Bears. I mean, I really, if we were going to say anything, I was kind of impressed that they held it at least that low of a loss. But it's really nothing that I should say because during the course of this week, we played 4 games for the Bulls and we were only able to accomplish winning one of those. So I really shouldn't, I guess, condemn or talk down to another team when my team's not exactly looking so hot either, but that's what we're here for. We're going to break down what has happened this week in the life of the Bulls in these 4 games. We're going to talk a little bit about what we thought last week and some other predictions going into this, and I hope that you enjoy. First, we're going to talk about them and the Bulls and the Trailblazers. That was the first game this week against Portland. They played on Tuesday, and this was their only win, which I think Chase and I were kind of split between if we thought they would win or not last week on this game. But it wasn't a big win. It was only by 3 points. I mean, a win is a win. But it wasn't really anything to write home about, though it was a good game. That is one thing. The Bulls are playing very competitive basketball. Some of these games, actually all of these games, ended within 5 points of each other, and so it's really been a game that's been back and forth all week. That's what I felt like. So we'll start with the Trailblazers. I honestly didn't think we would win. It's the first time we've won against the Trailblazers this year. We'll be seeing them again, I think, the end of January. And then they started the game really strong. We didn't score much of anything. We were down by 18 points at the end of the second, and then we started to get down by 20, and I was like, we're really not doing so great. And then we started to really bridge that gap. Portland's defense is great. I mean, LaVine didn't even score a 3 until the third. And that's like his things, those fadeaway threes, like those faraway threes that I know that I couldn't even remotely attempt to shoot. He's able to accomplish. He's just got that grace and all that. And they were able to keep him shut down until the third. I mean, if that tells you a little bit about what the game was like. We weren't able to shoot. We were down. I mean, and I even saw him miss a layup. It was just kind of like, where are we going with this? And then we started to get into the fourth, and Temple came in, and Porter tied the game up in the fourth. And it was really then that you started to see the drive, and I was like, oh, we might could pull this off. And so Williams and Temple, they really started to kind of play really great ball at the end and played well together. We started to lead, and I've got notes about Porter and Carter Jr., which, I haven't seen as much. It seems like you see Levine. I apologize, Levine. I hate names. My name is Shanda, and everyone says Shonda. So I get really self-conscious about names because I know it's a personal, I think with our own personal things we struggle with. So I'm trying to figure out, why is my one shoulder higher than the other? So I try not to say his name wrong. And every time I hear it, I'm like, Levine. And then I'm like, whenever I read it, I'm like, better not say Levine. And sure enough, I did. But you really see everyone talking about him and our lovely rookie. But I was really impressed with Porter and Carter Jr. in this. So 106 Bulls, Portland 103. And then we had a foul with 40 seconds left. And Portland makes both. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so this is where it's getting to that basketball that's really kind of what makes me enjoy this sport. It goes back and forth. It's really fast paced. Football, you don't see down to, like, my notes, White followed with 4 seconds. You don't see anything going on at 4 seconds really in football. You pretty much are like, okay. But in this game, I don't know. It's basketball. It's beautiful. It's aggressive and it's fast paced. And you really got to see that at the end. They were both kind of going back and forth. Levine made a 3 to put it 109 to 105. Then Portland scores a 3, and you go back and forth. And they ended up ending it at 109, 108 with 5 seconds left. And then that's when White followed with that at 4 seconds. So it was 111, 108. It was a great game. I mean, at the beginning, I didn't think so. At the beginning, I was like, oh my, we are going to lose this. But by the time you got to the end, it was like they had found their groove and they were really playing great ball. I mean, and White started to pick it up. Porter Jr. just really, I think they played some great ball. So then we are moving on because this is the most exciting ball game that we had this week. I mean, not exciting. We played the Lakers this week. We had some exciting ball games. This was the only time we would win, unfortunately, this week. And I was really disappointed in that. I really didn't. That means I was wrong on my predictions. So I don't really like being wrong. The next time we would play would be the very next night against the Kings, which we would inevitably lose by 4, but it was also a really good game. So they're playing really competitive ball. And I started my notes with move over Levine because White is the star tonight. He hit his career high with 36 points. I was really impressed watching him play basketball. And yes, I probably just said that in the last thing, but it's really true. Whenever you get to see someone really put a lot into the game, and he would not have gotten his career high if he was not playing great basketball. So it goes to show, not just bragging. So the Kings were ahead in the second, and then the Bulls got close in the bottom of the third, and then they pulled ahead by 1, and it really became that back and forth. So when you get to the fourth, you see this beautiful play by the Kings rookie, Tyrese, number 0. I actually wanted to do a little bit more research about him because I know I heard the announcers and everything that they were saying about him, but I don't really know anything about him apart from watching him. But in the fourth, they might have put him in before, but I'm only aware of him when he actually made this really nice play, and nice enough that I would note it. So he's someone I think we might be needing to watch for in the future, number 0 on the Kings. So, and then at 3 minutes to go in the fourth, the Kings pull ahead by 6 with 2 back-to-back shots. And that was really the crucial one that set us behind. Because up until then, after we had caught up, I sound very Southern. After we had gotten caught up, in the bottom of the third, and we started to play this like back and forth game. Like we would score, they would score. We would score, they would score. And it was just that jive going down. But then they were able to get the ball, and they did 2 back-to-back. And it seems like we were never able, I guess with how short of a time we had left in the game, we were unable to recover those points back-to-back. We still continued this 1-1-1 game, which means inevitably we did not recover enough to make it. So the Bulls were down with 40 seconds left, and the Kings get a 3-pointer. So, we lost 124 to 128 in the last seconds. This was one thing. I'm wondering, so we just chunk it towards the basket. And I'm wondering, is that really like the plays that was intended, that he just was supposed to just chunk it up towards the basket? Or was that... So we're going to talk about White. We're not going to talk about White. White did great that night. So we're seeing White really step up the last 2 games. And I know bragging about him right now. And then I'm going to end up eating my words in a minute. But at this moment, he's the one. He's the one at this moment. So then we go into the game and both Chase and I thought we would win this last game. That was one thing that was kind of upsetting. And I understand it was really competitive ball. We did it back and forth, but you still want to see a win on that. You don't want to see them lose by something like 4 on a team that was more equally matched. We really thought we'd win. So it was kind of sad to see them lose, but it was a great ball game to watch. Now we have moved on to the Lakers. Whenever Chase and I talked about it, we really didn't predict us to win this game. This wasn't a game that we went into thinking we were going to win. But I really think that the Bulls, they really, especially against teams like the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are LeBron James. So if you're talking about a team that has players that know the sport, they are a contender. They are the one of the ones. And so I really liked how well the Bulls are playing, especially with so many rookies and young players on their team and new coach. I like how they are competitive and look very competitive and feel very competitive against players like that and teams like that. Well, before I go on to talk about the Lakers, I did not write down any of my prompts for my scripted, all of the people that sponsor this. My lovely producer Chase, who always takes care of this, has all of the dedicated information about Monkey Knife Fight and all of our codes that they offer us. And I honestly did not get all of that, and I don't want to misquote it because I believe it would be something like Bulls Deep, because that would be, the name of this show. And they sponsor us, and they're able to give you $50. They match up to $50 whenever you use our code. And so I will have to add it in comments because I didn't get any of that information. But I do like Monkey Knife Fight. They were our first sponsor. They really believe in us. They're for the casual sports bettor. You don't have to follow. They're for someone like me who, when it comes to watching a game, I love it. I really do. I enjoy it. But when it comes to actually being able to follow along and really know what I'm doing when it comes to predictions, I'm not that great. So you can just go over, under, and it makes it a lot easier versus really knowing a lot more than I know. I know how to watch the game. I know how to tell you what they're doing in basketball. I'm going to say the Bulls are going to win all the time. That's just obviously not the safe bet if you're wanting to make money. But if you're wanting to make me happy, it is a safe bet. Just don't do that. Take the $50 and bet smart, play the line, do it or not bet. Make your predictions and enjoy it. Chase is on there. Chase is better about this one. I can talk about the pizza really well. I mean, Papa John's, I guess, should like me more because I can tell you all about pizza. I actually had their pizza the other day. It is so good. So what do you like better? Do you like, what of their sauces? That's something we can talk about this week. I love the garlic butter, but during my pregnancy, unfortunately, garlic became something that I'm not as big of a fan of. So I smell it, but it just doesn't taste as delicious as it smells anymore. So it's just one of the things. The joys of being a mom. I love their hamburger and mushroom pizza, which most people don't. So it's usually one that I order by myself. But Papa John's is great. And we have codes for everyone. Everyone loves us. All right, now that I've talked about Monkey Knife Fight and Papa John's, and I'm sure you guys are wondering why I'm talking like I have consumed large amounts of coffee, we will get on with that one after I talk about the Lakers, and then maybe you'll understand. It's our third sponsor. So, all right, let's talk about the Lakers. So we really didn't think we were going to win. We only lost by 2. I mean, playing against the Lakers and LeBron James and losing by 2. I was kind of impressed with us and our little self. So when it came to the Lakers game, Carter and Levine were doing really good. Williams, in the beginning, I was kind of like, why is everyone kind of standing around? And I don't know if it's because they were just kind of coming into themselves. And I know it's a young team and they haven't played with themselves. And this is a very well-developed team, the Lakers that they're playing against. So I think that in the beginning, it was kind of like, let's find our balance more in the first quarter. But that was just my opinion. So there was no Anthony Davis as well, which put our odds of actually doing well in this game up a lot higher. I mean, LeBron's going to play well, but LeBron's going to be LeBron. LeBron does these great, spin reverse layup and just pushes his way through the paint that he uses that body for what I guess it was designed for in basketball. And he kind of, to me, seems like one of the lone wolf players that still do that kind of aggressive, more body type of basketball, which I don't know, I kind of enjoy. Well, we should not talk so positively about LeBron James. I did love that they had Williams. Donovan also put Williams in again to guard LeBron. He's been putting him in up against people that he is definitely outmatched in body size and experience in a lot of different things. And I think that he's putting him in there in kind of these, not sink or swim, because we didn't expect to win. I mean, you don't expect to not play well, but going in there, there wasn't high odds that we were going to win this. But he let him play, how many minutes? Oh, 34 minutes. He was out there 34 minutes. That's a great majority of a game, especially for being, I know I think I've said this in every episode, but you go from like high school, college, professional, and then be like LeBron James, and to like that's the guy you're supposed to guard. And at the very end, like the very end of the games, he hugs him. And I love even though it's aggressive, competitive basketball, I mean, you see LeBron like body bumping. And I know I've talked about Williams' size before, and then you see him up against other guys and how he looks so much smaller. And even though he is just obviously a large man, but I like that at the end you can see that LeBron James is not, there's no real animosity there. And he hugs him. And I think for a rookie, like, there's got to be butterflies to know that like 3 years ago, you would have not had any idea you were going to be there. And LeBron James just hugged you after you played your first Bulls-Lakers game. Like, I can't imagine the butterflies in the cloud nine that Williams is going on. But I don't know if Donovan is playing back from his roots in college or having those young athletes as to why he's really, I don't want to say the word grooming, because especially with all of the things and the negative, but the way he is helping train and really growing Williams. I really like that you see him getting put up against very competitive athletes. He is going to learn up against some of the best. And I mean, and that's really how you have to do it. So he's not the best shooter. I mean, you see him a lot of times when he's taking these shots that are kind of one of the shots. I can't remember which game because I wasn't, but you see him put it up and someone, I think it was White, come up behind and just, fixed it for him. And you're going to see that more. But I really feel like he's a great guard, and he's going to end up being an all-around, like a great player for the Bulls. One of those Bulls players that we can be proud of. He had 8 rebounds, 4 steals. I mean, he played competitive ball. Carter Jr. Also stepped up in this Lakers game. He had 23.7 rebounds and assists, and I know I talked about him in some other games too. So it seems like Levine, Carter, Williams, where am I, like White? They're the ones, the names that you keep seeing. Young's even looking really different than last season. So let's see. I have my notes down here that I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about this at the end, and I can't jump all that. But we did end up losing, which, again, not really unpredicted that we lost. But, it was something that obviously we don't want to keep doing. We want to be able to get better in the future. But, okay, so here is at the very end. You're going to see that they have a few seconds left, and they get the ball. And there's an option that, I don't know, I watched the end of this game a couple times to kind of see, because you don't know if Levine goes in there and if Donovan had told him to shoot, or if he was in there and he was supposed to be passing this off to somebody else getting open, moving, and if he just took this terrible shot, which honestly kind of made me feel like, could we have just won this or potentially win it overtime, anything, but our egos get in the way and we think we need to always take these long, far away shots? I don't know. And honestly, Donovan being the coach that he is, he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, I told him to pass it, but he went ahead and did it anyway. He's going to defend his players and he's going to be supportive. So you're not really going to hear it out of him, but I just don't feel like that was the play that was called. I feel like there were other options, smarter options, which maybe we could have won. Maybe we could have ended up finishing that game, in overtime, or wouldn't it have been great to say that we won against the Lakers? I mean, I would have been completely overjoyed. But that's just my opinion. I don't know, and it's made me kind of scrutinize some of the other plays at the end too. Are you just throwing this up at the basket? Are you being told to? Like, what's going on. Now, and unfortunately, guys, I'm so sorry that this will be a lot shorter show tonight. I was depending on my great co-host, and next time, if I know I'm going to be doing a short or a single show, I will take more detailed notes so that I don't have to depend on my co-host banter. And usually I make about 20 minutes of notes, and between his notes, I give him like 10 minutes. So we make our 30-minute show, and then I talk more, and we end up with like a 45-minute show. But he's not here. So that was kind of how I felt at the end of the Lakers game. It was just kind of, could we have won? What could we have done different? That. Which brings me to my next question, or brings me to some questions I will discuss at the end. I would love some feedback. But now I'm going to talk about why I sound like I'm all hyped up. Monkey Knife Fight sponsors us. Also, Papa John's. And our third sponsor is Death Star Coffee. Sorry, my dog is walking in. I hope she lay down. And so I like to drink coffee. I get all hyped up for these things and wound up. And then I drink coffee. And then I'm like, see how many words I can spit out per minute. Apparently, that's what I'm going to do. So with all three of our sponsors, I hope that you can find someone that you enjoy. We will be adding the codes that you can use to the comments later. So make sure that you stop by them. Let them know that you appreciate us, that you appreciate them. I mean, sports, coffee, and pizza. That's the majority of my life. I mean, if you add my children in there, my pet, I mean, that covers most of me. Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper needs to sponsor me. That would be the other thing. If we could fit Dr. Pepper in there, I'd be set. And then now on to the fourth and final game of the week. So we really, we won to the Trailblazers, and then we lost to the Kings and the Lakers. Lakers expected. Kings wasn't expected. And then this game, Chase predicted us to win, and I predicted us to lose. And we did end up losing to the Clippers. We played the Clippers, and we just played them earlier today, so I honestly don't have as many notes. I do have the score, and I've watched, but I didn't take the time to take a lot of notes on it. So we ended the game at 127 to 130, and it really feels like when you're watching these games that they have a very similar vibe. We are really competitive, at least this week. The 4 teams that we played, I felt like we played a very competitive ball game. You saw us or them take a lead in the beginning. You saw the other team and or us start to bridge that gap, make the divide. And then we do this back and forth game until one of us wins or loses. But the spread this week, we won by 3, lost by 4, lost by 2, and then lost again by 3. It has all been within 5 points each game. So if you were talking about someone that's at least a contender, the Bulls feel like they're playing on a very appropriate level this year, especially for having a rookie player, having, Donovan as a new coach, just all of the young baby team that our Bulls are. So I really feel like they did very well. And I should have sat back like this. I feel like my head looks less big now. So with the Clippers, one thing though at the end, and I know I really bragged. I was like, moving because White has got this, and that he was really my go-to this week. And maybe it's just that there was 4 games this week. I don't really know, but he was mishandling the ball, and I kept watching him, and I thought, that's not how it's supposed to be done, and it was like his body was too fast, and you would see him just losing it as he was dribbling, and his body momentum where his head was forward and his legs, and so all good things with the Bulls until they come crashing down. So he had a harder game, and you really did see that struggling, especially at the end when it really mattered with some of that just losing the ball and getting it stolen and stuff that I don't expect to see as much on this level, especially not the way it was done, which is just kind of disappointing, in my opinion. But I don't know. Again, I hate critiquing, that corrective or negative criticism. I know it's needed and necessary, but the Bulls really did. The Bulls did well. All of these games were within a winning spread. They could have won them all, but it's, I guess, understandable. We're not going to want them to do better. Now, these are my discussions that I had planned to have. So I'm going to have them with myself, and they're going to be kind of one-sided. And maybe we will pick it up next week with comments that you guys make this week, or Chase or somebody. So I want to hear your opinions on my two things. First off, my first is about, do we believe that LaVine is the franchise player? Because as I was reading through a bunch of comments and things online and listening, you see people making comments about him being a franchise player and him being the Bulls franchise player. And then I watch a week of basketball, and I know basketball in 1 week is only a week's prediction. But you watch 4 games, and I don't feel like, and not even just watching 4 games. Watching his career with the Bulls, and also taking into consideration the last week, this season, this little bit of the season we've played. He doesn't have the smarts under pressure, those in the middle of it. Do you know what to do with the ball? Can you make those decisions of throwing it up there for some half-court 3, or do you try to pass it and get it somewhere, get a foul, get in there, something? I mean, drive the lane, do what they do, look for those fouls. You can see other teams taking those aggressive pushes into those moments where a foul could happen, trying to, drive those points and all that. And I understand you're not trying to play that ball every time, but in moments like you're down by 2 by the Lakers, are we just throwing it up there for a 3-point Hail Mary to try to win it? Or could there have been moments, or especially like that moment, could you have passed it deeper in and potentially got a foul, potentially tied it up, something? And so when it comes to a franchise player needs to be all of that. They need to be somebody that not only knows the game and is a great player, but is strong and smart in the game and doesn't have to rely on the fact that the coach has told them everything. And I don't feel like he has that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to hear different opinions. If I want to play the devil's advocate, I can say that maybe he's young or needs to play more, or new coaching, things like that. But so we'll see. But that's my stance of the moment. And that is a popular thread that I've seen through social media, is saying that he's a franchise player. And I don't know, it didn't sit well with me whenever I was reading that. So I'd really love to hear your opinion. If you think he is, what do you think? Do you think that he will be the next great Bulls player? And he is. I think when saying that, he is potentially be a great player, but the one. Does he have that kind of potential? I don't know. And now predictions. Even though, yes, we only won 1 this week, I had actually written down this prediction earlier in the week, and I'm not changing it, even though we lost 3, and that wasn't how I saw it going. I'm still predicting us to make the playoffs. I think we take the 8th seed. That's just I had it written down already, so kind of sticking with that. I would also love to see your opinions on that. And these 2 things were something that I really was excited to hear Chase's opinion. I like to get to do that banter and that dialogue. And unfortunately, I think he had his feelings hurt. He probably had a rough time. He might have still been all puffy from crying about the game. So I understand. I'm sorry if I let that out. Sorry, Chase. So he probably just needed a break. But I really wanted to discuss those things with him, because usually we don't have the same opinion. And so I wanted to know if for once we were going to actually agree, or if he was going to throw some Hail Mary at me and bring another theory or thought that I had not considered to make me kind of consider something new. Being the eternal optimist and having a deep love for Chicago-based sports, I tend to pull for them even when it's unrealistic. Hence why I love the Bears. But he keeps that grounded. So I was interested in seeing those. So since we do not have Chase today, make sure you send us comments. Tell us what you think. And those are the two questions this week. I know I mentioned other things earlier, but that's really what I want to know. Is he franchise player material? Is he our one and only Golden Bulls boy that we have been looking for? Or maybe not. And also, are we making playoffs this year? What are we doing? Well, this week we play 3 games. I hope we do better than we did this last week. Maybe we'll get some more sleep, catch a break, rest up. I hope that everyone does well. We don't see anyone on the injured or reserve or any kind of list. COVID, I don't know what the. Hope that everyone was just well. And I hope everyone out there has enjoyed, but I've really covered all of my topics, and that's kind of it for us. So I am Shanda Danielle. You have joined Bulls Deep live on StreamYard. That's what I feel like right now. Stream. This is StreamYard. We are also on Facebook, Instagram TV, and the Tickety Talk, as I like to affectionately call it. You can find me. We are also on YouTube. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, StreamYard, and YouTube. I think that's everywhere. We are sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight, Death Star Coffee. If I said that wrong, I'm going to end up kicking myself. And Papa John's. And I am, as always, the lovely Shanda Danielle. Bye, guys. I guess that's it. Bye.